Hi, and welcome to another episode of Cash for Your Home podcast. I'm here with the amazing Nancy Kowalik in South Jersey. I'm so excited for her to be here today. Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me, Chuck. I'm excited too.
Let me just jump in here and just ask you a couple quick questions. So, how did you get into real estate?
It's a funny story. So I actually was an entrepreneur. I had a house and a business on Main Street in Mullica Hill, and I decided to sell that house and that business. And I proceeded to have the worst experience of my life in sales. I've always been in sales, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's going on?" And I was also about to be unemployed because I was getting out of my business, right? So I've sold antiques and crafts and Christmas items, and so I decided I would build a better mousetrap, for lack of a better way to say it. Yep.
That's awesome. So how long have you been selling homes?
So I've been selling homes for 18 years now.
Wow. Wow. What's a rough ballpark on how many homes you've sold?
So I know we've sold over 2,000. I think it's about 2,200 at this point. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this. What's the craziest thing you've ever encountered in a real estate transaction?
Oh, so actually one of mine early on. So I switched homes with somebody, which I've been told like almost never happens, right? So literally, I wanted a house in Mullica Hill really badly. And so I went to go look at this house. And I was like, "Hey guys, where are you going?" And they were like, "Hey, we want to buy a little house on a golf course." And I was like, "Hey, I have one of those." So we literally swapped houses. My purchase was $100,000 more, but it happened, and it was an amazing experience. And I've been told by gurus all over the place, like that rarely happens. It's so rare. So that's kind of cool.
That's pretty neat. So
Yeah.
you're in Mullica Hill. You love Mullica Hill, and you covered this. So what is it about Mullica Hill in South Jersey that you love so much? And
Yeah, so Mullica Hill is it's got a main street. It's a 1 mile historic national and local historic register, and but we have a lot of different shops and personalities. So I will tell you some of the most interesting personalities, entrepreneurs have come here. So Gloucester County is kind of one of the last bastions of land and space, right? So everybody has their 1 acre, I call it their little fiefdom, right? It's almost like they put a moat around the house and everybody has it. And then we've got properties that have bigger acreage. And we have a lot of really beautiful farms that used to be peaches and blueberries and apples that are now wineries. It's like Napa came to me. It's really cool because I know, you know me, I like my wine. So we have a lot of agritourism, and the people here are just nice. I mean, the school district's amazing. We're half an hour to Philadelphia, an hour to the shore. We're an hour and a half to New York City. So we really are in an amazing place. The weather's chilly right now, but the summers are spectacular. The springs are amazing when we get them, and I can take the winter right up until about January 15th. But not all things are perfect. But it's just, I mean, I've been here for 30 years, and before I moved here, I moved around a lot, and this just felt like home, probably because of the eclectic personalities. But I've always been a Main Street girl. Like I looked for a place that I felt like I belonged, that I felt like I belonged. I think that's paramount when you're searching for a hometown, and I never felt that way before. And I've lived in all up and down the Eastern Coast, and this place felt like home, and so I've made it my home. I've been here for over 30 years. I've raised my family here. My kids love it here, and are in the business with me now. So it's been quite a blessing being here.
that's exciting. So it's kind of a family business then.
It is.
That's exciting. And so you're in Mullica Hill. You're running this business. You got your family involved. So you've been doing this for a long time. So can you tell us about your team a little bit?
Sure. So my team is made up. So I have a great support staff. So my executive admin, receptionist, kind of an office manager, and a recruiter trainer. That's the core of my team. And they're here. And I also have another broker. So when I'm doing something like this, there's always someone to answer questions for my team. And then I have just about 15 outside sales agents, and their 100% focus is on you, the customer, whether you're buying or selling a home or both. Their focus is just hunting and gathering for you, like finding the perfect home. Likely it's not on market. We do find a lot of off market homes. My outside salespeople are just amazing at pushing until they find you your dream home. And then I have a staff of inside sales agents who do nothing but answer the phones and connect us with buyers and sellers. So if someone's calling about 123 Main Street, and I'm busy right now on a podcast with you, and my agents are out running around showing clients homes, an agent, my inside salesperson is answering that phone, gathering pertinent information, and then putting together people that are going to get the questions answered and get the client to their goal quicker. It's a great system. It's different than when I started in this business, which, as an independent agent, I answered the phone. I wrote the contracts. I wrote the copy. I took the pictures. I did everything. And that was, I'm good at some of it, but I am not good at all of it. I can say that. And so I've assembled a team of people that are very good. My executive admin is so detail oriented, and thank God for her, because, I would lose some of those balls in the air. So everybody here is specialized at what they do, and it's all with the goal of a 5-star experience for our clients and for anybody else we come in contact with, whether it's vendors or other agents. We want it to be a 5-star experience.
That's awesome. So you're plugged into the community that you love, and you've built a team to do what you love. So you've got this great team. So you get to, it looks to me like you get to kind of pick and choose what you do in the company. So what is it about real estate that you love that makes you come alive?
So I love the community in real estate, right? So dealing with people and community. So let's face it, you can buy a house with 4 walls and a roof anywhere in the country. And there's places in New Jersey that are amazing and not so amazing. And really, it comes down to personal preference and needs, where you want to be. But if you're coming to South Jersey, anywhere from Trenton south, we're going to find you the perfect home. And it really is community. I love Main Street because I can literally walk out my door and go look at the Christmas tree lighting, walk 4 doors up and go to Naples at the Warehouse and have my espresso martini, right? Or a glass of wine and the best wings, in my opinion, on the planet, right? So, and then further up the street, there's shopping, just about every type of thing, coffee shops and antique shops and clothing stores and other eclectic shops and personalities that go along with all of those shops. People, most of them are residents of town, and have become good friends if they weren't before. We help them, in some cases, we help them find locations to open their businesses, which is incredibly gratifying to watch their businesses grow. And so I'm a local girl. Everything is, God, this is the best espresso martini. This is the best place to go buy clothes shopping for yourself. Here's the best place to go shopping for your kids for gifts. And get best place to go buy Christmas trees. And so I'm a big proponent of what there is to do in town. And there's several places to go for wine and for distilleries. But I love talking about what makes them special, because each one of those owners has a vision just like I do for their business. And that's what makes their business worth going to, supporting. And so I try to do it both personally, by spending my dollars there, but then also by talking about them in the community. I did something called 30 Things to Do in Mullica Hill in 30 days, years ago. And I do it every couple of years. And I love to highlight those sellers. I walk in and say, "Hey, Jenny, I'm here today. Give me your elevator pitch." And, she'll give me a minute spiel about her shop. And we focus on some of the things that she does that are amazing. And then we share that, and it helps bump sales. It helps bump awareness. And it feels good to everybody. I tell you what, it's fun for me. I love doing that.
Wow. So you're not just integrated into the community with your business, but you're also integrated. You're not just integrated personally, but integrated with your business as well.
Absolutely. I mean, helping these places find. We've helped them find incubator spaces and then spaces to grow. We even have community pools, and the community pool will be like, "Hey, Nance, we need more enrollment. Can you help feature us?" And they don't have a marketing budget, right? It's a not-for-profit. It's an amazing service for the community. So I, of course, support them through sponsorships, but then I go out there and I'll talk to the lifeguards. I'll talk about some of the things going on. I do that there. I do that with Friends School, even, right? With the local school. And they're like, "Hey, enrollment's down, or we need more help with these things." And I'll go out and talk them up, and it just raises awareness. And so I always like to think of myself as a marketing company that sells real estate, right? And so, right. And so we kind of pull that marketing into other pieces. But for me, you could buy a house anywhere in New Jersey. If you want to come to South Jersey, you're going to come to my favorite area, and I'm going to show you what's favorite about it, right? And share that information with you.
This sounds very different than a traditional real estate business.
Yes. Yeah. Most real estate businesses are transactional. And that's how I started. Started at Century 21, no knock to them, right? Every model is different. And I was an independent agent learning the business. And it was about, calling your sphere of influence, or talking to someone who happened to walk in the door and find out what they were looking for and meet that need, and push them to do it sooner rather than later. And listen, in as things go, there's always big fear of missing out, right? FOMO is a big thing. And so for us as agents, it's really important. And I train my agents I always say, when you take a client out, first thing you want to do is tell them to stick together, walk behind them, and watch where their eyes go. As I said, like, we don't need to be Vanna White and say, this is the kitchen, right? And look at the granite countertops. Like, clients know what that is. But a client might tell you they want a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house with, privacy, and it must have certain amenities. But you walk into that house and and you see them go gaga over the built-ins and the special touches, right? And maybe some of the trim work and the privacy. And so then it becomes, and maybe it's a 3-bedroom house. And they're like, you know what? I'll compromise because I have an office here. So, but it's about paying attention to what they really respond to, not just what they think they want, right? Because everybody has that list in their head. This is what everybody wants. We all want the same thing. No, they all want something different. And it's about paying attention. And I always say, if I've been out with you to see 4 or 5 homes, I bet you I can pick the home you're going to pick. And my agents are trained the exact same way. And that's why we sell so many homes.
Wow. Well, that begs the question, what else do you do differently? What are some of the things that you do that are very different?
Right. So I am performance based. And by that, I mean, so I will say literally, if I don't sell your home, I'll buy it. And so ask me if I've ever had to buy a home. And the answer is no, out of 2,200 homes. And the only caveat is that we must agree on price and timing. So I will tell you, I've had people test me and say, hey, I want to sell my house for $1 million. And it's, 300,000. It's like, look, guaranteed 300,000 because this is the fair market value. And so we have a program that says if you move up to one of my homes in Mullica Hill, which are more estate homes, and you have a $300,000 house to sell, I will guarantee the sale of that home or I'll purchase it myself. So you're a non-contingent buyer, which is so important in this marketplace. Nobody else does that. And I love being able to do that. And I have had so many transactions where we just make it smooth. We even take it further. So if you trade up and move up to one of my homes, I'll buy your home if I don't sell it. We actually now have something called cash offers, right? So cash offers mean that regardless of whether you're buying my home or not, one of my homes, I can make you an offer from one of over 62 real estate investment trusts. And these companies, it's not like your traditional cash offer. So these companies literally can get you up to 95% of value, which is fabulous. And I'm taking my commission out, so maybe 94% of value. So there's other options. If you're a buyer, listen, love your home or I'll buy it back guaranteed. I might offer, so if you're not happy with your home, let's say you have a neighbor that has motorbikes running all hours of the day and night, and it's legal in the neighborhood, and you're like, I can't take this, and you want to move out, listen, we will either buy your home back or we'll sell it for free, right? Literally. And so who else does that? So most people, it's like, yep, see you later, sold you the house, buyer beware, and I'm out of here. And for us, it's like, look, when you work with Nancy Kowalik Group, you are a client for life. And we want you to sing our praises. And so if you're not happy, tell us, we'll find a way to fix it. We'll find a way to make it right for you. That's just a few of the things that we do differently. And I'm really proud of that.
That's amazing. I mean, this is just not normal. This is not normal business. This is above and beyond. So let me ask you this about cash offers. I'm not a realtor, but I own a home. And, I know that in 5 to 10 years, I'm going to want to sell the home. The kids are going to be moved out, and I'm going to want to move on to maybe a place where we might want to live in retirement. So when I think of cash offer, I'm just going to be honest, my own ignorance on because when you think of a cash offer, first of all, I think of like those billboards that say like we buy junk cars. And I know they're going to offer you $5 for your car. Right. So then I think, well, somebody's going to try and give me 20% of market value. But then I also think of like, who is this that's making these like Russian oligarchs that are making these offers? Like, I have no idea how any of this works. So it's like, what does this even mean? How does it work?
So there's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of skepticism around it, right? So cash offers. Right in my marketplace, before I became someone who offered cash offers, there's a lot of wholesalers and people that do assignments. And honestly, what they're doing is stealing the equity. So they might look at you, let's say, Chuck, someone in your family fell ill and you fell behind on maintenance of the home, or you're getting a divorce, or, you lost a job. Any number of things can happen, and someone is forced to make a sale and the house is not in the best shape. But a wholesaler will come in and offer you 40 or 50 cents on the dollar, which is it's stealing the equity that you have. And that's why we, as cash offers, we kind of have a lot of skepticism, a lot of bad information. For me, I will literally go in. I've had a situation recently, lovely woman, in her late 30s. She'd been married for over 20 years. She had this beautiful 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home in a nearby community. And she had, her and her husband of 20 years, put in a new kitchen, put all new bathrooms in, put in new flooring downstairs, and they had ripped out a whole section and were adding on a master bedroom and bathroom. And so everything was ripped down to the studs. And so the whole house was in boxes and other rooms were being redone. So half the rehab was done and half of the rehab was not. And 2 years had passed while she lived like this. Her husband got involved with drugs, and their marriage fell apart. And so, but she owned the home outright. So here we are. I walk into her home with my son, and she literally starts crying. And she says, "I haven't allowed anybody in my home for 2 years. I am so embarrassed. I don't live this way." And I was like, "Listen, I understand." And so we walked through the home and said, "Listen, I believe this house will sell between 350 and 375 when it's done, right? In its current market. But right now, no one's going to give you more than maybe 150, 200 at most. I think most of them were offering her around 120 to 150. And she had a huge fenced in yard and privacy, and it's a beautiful home. And the kitchen was spectacular. And so we came in and were able to give her 65% of her equity upfront, right? So that she was then able to purchase another home and move her and her kids out. There was 35% held in like an escrow account of sorts. And then we agreed on a budget for repairs, about $55,000 in repairs. And so there was a contingency built in. And so I and my team were tasked with overseeing that. So there's an outside company come in, and we agree on this scope of work. And the work got done for $42,000. We put the house back on the market, and we sold the house for $385,000. And it closes very soon. And so she gets all of that extra equity, not the wholesaler. She does have to pay, so I think in this case, 6% for using this REIT's money, the real estate investment trust monies, because they purchased the home, they purchased and paid for all the repairs. They're carrying the home and the taxes and the insurance for that period of time. I think it was 45 days. And they carried, of course, till closing. So her $42,000 is coming out. The 6% of 385 is coming out, and then of course my commission comes out, and she gets the rest of the money, right? And she even said, she's like, "It would have cost me more than $55,000 because your contractors were amazing. They got it done quickly. They had better connections than I did, and it would have cost her a lot more to finalize the repairs, but she didn't have the money." So she's over the moon excited. We made such a difference in her life because that's what she got out of the divorce. I mean, her husband unfortunately squandered a lot of their money when he became, sick, if you will. So that's just one story. I have so many others. And so she's walking away with, I want to say a total of $335,000, or it's maybe $325, something like that, out of the 385, which is amazing, right? And that's at least $100,000, $150,000 more than she would have got if she worked with a wholesaler. I mean, that's life-changing money for someone who's a single mom raising a family.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So there's two things that I see in that when you tell me that. The first thing that I see is that I can't imagine all the paperwork and all all the details that go into arranging for all of this, and then having to oversee the construction of it. So the first thing I see is your heart to help people. This just speaks volumes about your desire to help people, and that's amazing. That's amazing. That's good people doing good business. The second thing I see is your company has the tools to change people's lives when it comes to real estate, and being able to do things that create solutions from problems that maybe were just closed doors before. That's amazing.
Completely. When I say she literally, so she was a hostess at this really big restaurant, and she had so many contacts, but she was so embarrassed by her circumstances and didn't know what direction to turn. And family didn't have money. Family were telling her to do this, do that. Everybody had possible ideas, but she was in the middle of it and kind of frozen because she was so afraid of making the wrong move. Imagine living in boxes, out of boxes. I saw her master bedroom this tiny little space, and she had clothes piled on a bed, and then she had a clothes rack that she bought at a store that was closing out, and just things all over this house, and things piled high. And I thought, living like that for 2 years, the stress that puts on you and your kids, right? It's just there's enough going on. The marriage has broken up. My God, that's devastating enough. But now to live this way, and so moving her into, she bought one of our houses that actually had a pool. So she really upgraded, and her kids were actually so excited about this house with the pool and the private yard. And they're living their best life, and she's able to move on. And yes, we are going to have someone, yelling from the rafters. She didn't just do it. She knocked it out of the park. And by she, I mean, listen, my son helped me manage the contractors. We were over there twice a week, double checking, taking pictures. Hey, this isn't right. That's not right. Making sure things got done, so that as the REITs were paying, the contractors as they came through, we were the ones that the final check to say, yeah, give them a check. Right. So, and but it is above and beyond what we normally do. But in this case, there's such a need for this in the marketplace that I'm excited to do it and make a difference. And my hope and prayer is that that word of mouth spreads, and that makes a difference for us as a business.
I'm inspired, because it feels to me like you're living out your values and fulfilling your purpose, and you've figured out a way to use your company to do that.
The only reason to be in business for yourself is to do things the way you want to. And I will say I'm a bit of I'm stoic when it comes to certain things. Like, look, I want it to be a 5-star experience. And when it's not, I want to know about it. Right. So I've had clients call me and say, hey, this isn't right. I dive in and fix it. And then again, they become clients for life, because it's not just a pass the buck along. Nobody's perfect. So for me, it's either a win or a learn. And that's the value we have with the entire team. The other thing about being a team that is so unique in this office is we all really work together, right? So when I worked in at a Century 21 or a KW, we were all in competition with each other. Nobody helped each other. The values in my office, the culture is literally, we have our own Slack channel. It's like, look, I need help with this. This is going on. Who can help with this? Who can help with that? And everybody, more often than not, you get 2 or 3 people going, yeah, I got this. When we're running these contractors, there was a day where one of the contractors took the key from the lockbox. I'm like, oh God. Right. And so my agents are running around and they're like, hey, I can grab a key and get it over there. Now, she didn't have to do that. There was no benefit, except that Angela knows that we've always got her back, right? There was a point in time when her son was in a bad BMX accident. She had closings and clients and all sorts of things, and her child was airlifted. And I remember, like freaking out. We stepped in and took care of everything for her for as long as she needed, right? And she still got paid the way she normally gets paid, and everybody just pitched in. Like, that culture of giving is starts in our office and then radiates out to our clients and our vendors.
Are you hiring?
Absolutely. If you share those cultures, and that's the thing, it's funny. My team was much bigger, years ago and before COVID, and little by little, the things that we do here and we love doing, people sometimes think they can do it and don't need the support, and that's fine. I call it a small but mighty team. My idea is each of my agents should be making killer money, doing at least 50 transactions a year, and they're netting, $300,000 a year. That's net. That's not gross commission, and they're paying for everything else. We pay for everything, and they get to have a life. And so that to me is like the ultimate. I mean, as a single parent, when I got into this business, doing it all, I was working 16 hours a day. And both of my kids said, there is no way in hell I would do what you're doing, right? Both of my kids were like, what are you doing? Why? And it was like, I'm building a business. And if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. And they didn't like it. They hated it. And then they started to see that I was creating a foundation and underpinnings that would stand the test of time. And that's why they're both now in the business, because I do get to have a life. They do get to see that. They saw it from the beginning and they saw how hard it was to start, but now they're the beneficiaries of that. And, and I hope and pray that they continue to run in that fashion. And I will tell you, both of my kids have, when people meet them and they're like, oh, that's your son, I get it. Because he's just so thoughtful and well-spoken and takes his time and makes sure he understands what it is we're looking for. We have some amazing, I just got a beautiful testimonial of someone who had worked with 6 other agents and they kept going, oh, no. And we only want to work with the listing agent. And P.S., my son was a buyer's agent at the time. And they were like, he actually listened to us. He actually found us what we were asking for, not just throwing stuff against the wall. So he listens because he knows, he learned that from me, like really paying attention. Goodness knows for enough summer and after schools, it was like, okay, my kids are coming with me for this showing or for this contract signing or for whatever. They had to be there, and they were good kids, right? So they took a lot in by osmosis. It's the same way I train my staff, though. The rest of them learn it the same way. And so, I've gotten bigger, and then I've hit a point where it's like, look, if I add 1 or 2 people a year that are as good culturally and have those morals and values, then I can teach you the rest, right? Yeah.
I want to segue over to, I was reading on your website, and it looked to me like it's possible to actually list your home with you and avoid the showings. On a moment's notice, I have to take the pets and get out of the house. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up and ask you about that and find the details is because it seems like that's just one more way that you can help people. So what is this about? How does this work? How is it possible to sell a house without 1 million people coming through it all the time?
Yeah, so it's the 1 hour open house, and it's something we've perfected. I actually coach on it around the country. I'm really proud of it. And listen, I say we're a marketing company. When you first decide to sell your house with us, we are putting together this plan, and this plan has checklists upon checklists of here's the things that we do. And it's a media blitz, all of the social medias, all of the Zillows and Realtor.coms. We have a database of 90,000 people there. If they're interested in your price range, they're seeing your home. All of this happens the first week you're on the market, and then we don't let anybody in. So what normally happens, and I see it happen with all of my agents that are buyer's agents that are running out to show, 123 Main Street got listed by, let's say, Berkshire Hathaway, and there's showings all day. Every half an hour, there's a different person in that house. We say, no, we're not doing this. We're going to have them come to our open house one Sunday at noon, right? It's Eagle season. So during Eagle season, it has to be at noon because everybody likes to tailgate. And so from noon to 1, that house is open. By the way, if there's a line out the door, we're not going to tell you can't come in, right? But from noon to 1, we're going to hold it open, and we're going to show everybody your house during that time period. So and I always tell my clients, you're probably going to be out, from 11:45 until, and you might be out for 2.5 hours because we need that time there. But we show it to everybody. And Chuck, there is nothing more exciting than watching all these other people look at this house and go, look at those built-ins, look at that yard, look at this, look at the microwave, look at, the way this was done, under the island, like looking at all these items. And I always say, I'm waiting for someone to lick the handle, right? So because they're in competition, they're in direct competition. And so gone are the days when someone will look at me and go, do you have any offers? And I'm like, what do you think? You don't even have to ask that question when you see that many people standing around oohing and eyeing over this property. And so we say, look, we'll take offers until Wednesday, and then it's best and final, and we're going to make a decision. And I tell my sellers, listen, there might be a couple of second showings. Someone wants to bring the parents in, or, hey, the place was so crowded, I couldn't see everything. Here's an offer, but we want to get back in and see the property. But generally within a few days, that house is going under contract, and you're done. And then it becomes until we get the appraisal done and any inspections done, don't pack. Although I will tell you, especially with the lack of inventory, most of our offers come in with appraisal waivers, and they're not doing inspections because they see the competition. So I say, I walk softly with a very big bat. There's nothing like that leverage of going, yeah, there's a little competition here, right? And so it puts buyers on their best behavior. Look, I don't want a buyer making a bad choice. My sellers are good people. If there's an issue with the house, we fix it before we put it on the market. Like we know, we know what's going on with that house. So you as a seller, I always tell them, look, you're going to have people maybe even knock on your door. If you go out to get the mail, they might be like, I can't get in to see your house, and it's like, that's okay. You can come see it on Sunday with everybody else, right? That's the way we do things. And so you get to be the captain of your ship in that situation. And it's awesome. And even in another way, as I'm thinking about this, we do something called the certified pre-owned home. Right. And this has gotten a lot of traction too. This is something very different. So think about pre-owned BMWs and pre-owned Mercedes, right? I've purchased a couple of I don't like buying something new off the showroom floor. So I'll go buy that certified pre-owned. So we have a program that's exclusive to us called the Certified Pre-Owned Program, where we come in and for a fee, we get all of our inspections done up front. Any repairs that are done, we get warranties to go along with it. We provide a warranty, an 18-month warranty to the buyer so that things are not going to come back to the seller. And so now you've taken all of those issues out of the realm of crashing a deal, right? Somewhere in the area of 20%, if not 25% of deals fall apart at inspections. So we are proactive in this. We take all of this up front and we say, hey, we've done all the inspections. Here's the reports. Hey, here's any of the repairs and the receipts. And so, by the way, you're welcome to do your own inspection if you want, but we already know what's going on here with reputable people. So, so people are coming in with that confidence, and the sellers, that worry is off their plate. It's a beautiful thing.
It sounds like you could almost call your business the risk aversion business.
Yes. Because listen, now homes are starting to not sell on the market. Like there's a lack of inventory, but there's still agents not doing a good job. And so, and to them, it's like, well, if it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell. And to you, if your house isn't selling, your plan of wherever you're going next might be foiled. Is my house ugly? What am I doing wrong? Like all of these things come up, and that inadequacy is largely on the part of the agent. We don't have that. We literally say, I'll sell your home or I'll buy it myself. You're happy with your home or I'll buy it back. So if we don't perform, my money's on the line, right? And so we take that very seriously, very seriously.
That leads me to a question that I have. So again, I own a home. This is the first home that we purchased. So I wasn't coming from a home that I owned. But as I think about selling this home and going to another, of course, the first thing I think of is, what if one of those deals falls through? I mean, I think of two scenarios. I could either end up having to stay in a hotel for however long, or I could end up with two mortgages. So, and I know that this isn't anything new. Everybody runs this risk. But with all the risk aversion that you're telling me about, how do you guys solve this problem? I know you have a solution.
Absolutely. So there's a couple different ways, and it depends on the situation. So I actually have a house closing on the 16th coming up, where the seller had already purchased a home, and they had listed it with another agent, and things kept falling apart. And they had a lower price. They came to me and said, well, we had to push back new construction on our new home because the house didn't sell. So now we don't know where we're going to be. So we got the house. We got it under contract from the open house. We got $30,000 above full ask with the appraisal gap, with no inspections, right? And this was literally just a month later after the other agent failed miserably, right? And so, but we had to say is, listen, we need time for the seller to stay in the house because they've had to push the closing back on their new construction home. And so that was one of the things we built in. So the closing is on the 16th, but they're going to stay in the home for another 3 months and rent back. So they're not moving twice. Because we had such a great open house and multiple offers, we were able to say, this is what's most important to our sellers. So on top of additional money, we got them conditions that were exciting. So in cases like that, and we do that over and over again, big bet, right? Look at all this leverage. What else is important? At a certain point, people say, I don't want to overspend, right? It's worth 30,000 more to me. But what else can we do to make a difference? And so we will have that conversation. But in another case, we had a client who was purchasing one of our houses, and their house was under contract. That deal fell apart. Our cash offer stepped in and said, we got you. We're still closing on time. You're still buying your house on time. No blip at all. Completely seamless. So things like that don't happen to our clients. Or if they do, it happens for a heartbeat. And then it's, all right, here's the solution, right? Because we can go this way or we can go this way. And to me, those are amazing opportunities. Most agents will literally call and say, listen, deal fell apart. They're now contingent, on finding a new buyer. And in our cases, that's not what happens. We already have that buyer in waiting, and we're ready to move to the next task.
Wow. I feel like there's something else that is a way that you guys help people through real estate, as real estate technicians. And I feel like I probably don't even know what it is. What else?
So I think part of it is, so I will tell you this, when someone first contacts us, like right now I'm dealing with someone, And I don't take a lot of clients anymore personally, right, that I deal with from start to finish, right, because I have a team and I'm blessed to do that. But this person, they're planners, and it's a husband and wife. They've already purchased another home down the shore that they go to for summers. And they have a mother that is in assisted living, and she's at the end of her lifespan, which is unfortunate but expected. And so, but they're planners. They're like, how can we plan all these things and put all these things in place so that we're ready, so that when things unfold the way we know they're inevitably going to unfold, we already know what we're going to do. How can we be prepared? So we've literally done the inspections, the pictures. I go in and give them my honey-do list. Make sure the house looks this way to be most beneficial. So it's a staging. We don't charge for the staging, right? So if I'm working with your items, I will literally come in and say, Chuck, you're going to get rid of all of this stuff here, and you're going to move this over here, and this is how your house is going to showcase best, right? So we go in and get those things done, get pictures done, and we're ready to go. Most agents, and I see it every day, where you see the pictures and you see the houses presented with the ironing board up and the dirty dishes out and everything else. And I'm like, was anybody paying attention? And Mr. Seller, didn't you look at the pictures and say, what the hell? Right? So, but we do that every day. And that's something I started early in my career. And so we call it the famous honey-do list. And it's funny because I'll get wives that are like, can you tell him to do? I've been trying to get him to do this for years. And sometimes I'll agree and sometimes I won't. But I'm like the big stick there, right? It's like, okay, well, if you want top dollar, here's what you got to do. And it generally doesn't involve a lot of money. Paint is usually the biggest thing. Sometimes it's finishing carpentry work or projects that were half done, right? But we go in and say, these are the things to do. And other agents in my marketplace pay a professional stager to come in by the hour to come in and give you that advice. That's just part of what we do because I know it's going to expedite the sale for me, right? So why make you pay extra for that? It's all rolled up into what we do.
I don't have any projects half done in my house.
Well, then you're an unusual man.
I have several. All right. So let me ask you this. For the people in the market right now, like myself, my interest rate that I have currently, I got it, pre-COVID.
Yep.
And then also my value's gone up.
Yep.
So for the people that are kind of holding out, hoping to get back down to 0, 1, 2, 3% interest and have this, what would you say to people in that situation?
I want to smack them aside the head and go, like, get a grip. Okay. And here's why. So my first house, Chuck, was 11% interest. Okay. So my parents were in the double digits as well. So like looking at this, I'm like, y'all are spoiled. I'm just going to say that. Right. But now, and I'm guilty too, because my house is refinanced at 2.6%. Right. But here's the thing. So I actually have a mortgage company. It's called Your Home Loans, powered by Nexa. So we actually have a program that says, Chuck, if you buy a house with me right now, while the interest rates are a little higher, because by the way, the houses, you're going to have more buying power right now, right? Because there's not a ton of competition for homes. I mean, we get multiple offers, but it's not the days of 50 offers at a time. When the interest rates tick down, there's going to be 50 offers at a time. We're going to push home prices up 100,000 above asking price. That's real money. So our solution is buy that house now. And in the next year, you can refinance with me and I will not charge you another origination fee at all. In fact, we're partnered up with a title company that will charge you an $1,800 flat fee for that title commitment and closing. So we've set this up so that if you buy with me and in the next year, the interest rates drop, and they will, you're refinancing and you're not paying origination fees, which is why a lot of people don't want to refinance over and over again, right? So again, another solution, because there's a lot of people in my area that do. They have that 3% interest rate and they're sitting there going, well, if I downsize from this 4,000 square foot home into that 1,800 square foot rancher, I'm going to pay the same price because of the interest rates. It doesn't make sense. And you can't argue that fact. But when you turn around and look at the fact that over the next year, we're going to see interest rates drop. They predicted it last year, and I said it wasn't going to happen last year, and it didn't. I'm not surprised, but they will this year coming up. And so you'll have the ability to, buy the house and then get the rate you want when those rates adjust appropriately.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this one last question, then I'm going to open it up to whatever you want to talk about. But let me ask you this question. What has been your personal, and I know you did the deal where you did a straight up trade for your house, one for another. but what has been your personal favorite real estate transaction throughout your career?
So I had, there's a few. So I had a family that lived around the corner from the church I belonged to in Pittman. And again, a single mom with a special needs child, and I think she had 4 children. And that house had so many projects and so many things going on. And she worked full time. And every time the house needed to be shown, there was something going on with the house. I remember going over there having to fish dead squirrels out of the pool, right, to show the house. But she had tried to sell this, and she was literally going to lose the house if she didn't sell it. And we made, her name was Heather. Her first name was Heather. And, she would cry over wine, and, I'd pop up by her house to talk to her about something, and she would cry because she's like, I can't believe, she came from a military background. She's like, I can't believe I'm going to lose this house. I'm going to be homeless. Like, if I don't get something for this house. We got our house sold. It took time because it was at a time period when things weren't selling. And we found her the right house with the right school district for her special needs child. And to this day, I talk to Heather. And that's going back probably 13 years. It was one of the hardest. I mean, it seemed to me like it took forever, but she had this experience of dealing with 3 other agents that couldn't get it sold at all. And I got it sold, and I guess it was maybe 3 months. But it just seemed to me that it was interminable, like, ugh, right? And every time I would go to church on Sunday, I'd be driving right past her house, and having to look at her and her kids. But when we got that done, it was one of the happiest. Everybody was jumping up and down, and she was crying, and to still talk to her that many years later and have a great relationship is nice. She sent me business. She keeps me informed. It's wonderful to see everybody blossoming and doing well. And her kids are adults now, and it's a very cool thing. Things like that stick with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
All right,
and fishing squirrels, dead squirrels out of a pool. It's like, it's funny. My son got into the business, and he's like, so, like, what does this entail? I'm like, what doesn't it entail? I mean, do I say that this is something like, listen, if you have the ability to do this, you should be doing this yourself. But she was at a point, she was out working, she was doing all of these things. And I'm like, well, we had a showing, someone wants to go see it now. She's like, I'm worried the beds might not be made. And what about this one? I'm like, I got you, right? Now here I am running around, putting dishes in the dishwasher, making a bed, fishing a dead squirrel out, like whatever. And is that the norm every day? No. But is it necessary? Absolutely. There are times when you become that intimately involved in their lives because you are the thing making the difference. And you got to take responsibility for that. That's why we have so many guarantees. You have to take responsibility. And ultimately, I was raised by a Marine, right? So it's like, this is, if I'm busy, you're busy. And this is the way it goes. And so we just follow that philosophy. And that's, my agents are the same way. I'll get an agent going, guess what I did today? I'm like, what? And they'll tell me, similar story. And I'm like cracking up, going, well, yep, it's just another day in the chronicles of what happens here in real estate. It's part of what we do.
Well, before I ask you how people can get a hold of you, and before I ask you where they can get more information, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I've been kind of steering the conversation. I wanted to open up for you to mention anything that you felt might be relevant.
Oh, thanks. Well, first I want to say thank you for taking the time and giving me a platform to talk about the things that we do differently. I'm very proud of that. And I will say, I've looked at different models and was tempted a few years ago to really go for growth. But I really have decided that small but mighty really just fits my personality better. And we get so much done. By so much, I also mean when we carry out to the community, we give back to the community too, Charles. So in the past 7 years, we've given over $200,000 to local charities. That is in Gloucester and Camden counties. And it floors me how much need there is, more than ever. Just this past Thanksgiving, my son, his girlfriend, and my daughter and I went to went to a local place, and we fed 1,300 families, which were 5,400 people. When we were a sponsor, and I didn't just write a check. I like to go and be involved. So we helped load up all of the bags with all of the goodies, the fish, the turkey, the stuffing, the cake, the icing, the beans, all of the things in the bags, and then with the turkeys, and loaded them into pallets. And then, there was 15 for this community, and there was 150 for this community. And we loaded them into people's cars because there were different agents coming to that, had worked on who had the need in the community. And that was incredibly gratifying. I've done this myself over the years. My kids were kind of more scattered. And this year they said, Mom, because you keep going, we want to go do it too. And that was really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So how do people get in touch with you? How do they find you?
Yep, so simple. So you can look us up on Google. Our phone number is 856-478-6562. Someone live will answer the phone 24/7 because I hate leaving messages or having to press a button. Or you can go to nancykowalik.com and someone will get back to you very quickly. I mean, we pride ourselves on getting back to people within 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 10, but generally it's 5 minutes that you're getting an answer back from someone who can set you on a path to get you the answers you want and for the outcomes that you're looking for.
Is there anybody that would be looking to do any kind of real estate transaction that you would not be interested in helping or not able to help?
I'm going to tell you, I work with everybody from selling land to selling mobile homes to selling houses to land development and commercial. I mean, it's funny, when I got into this business, they talk about niche. And what I decided my niche was Mullica Hill and Gloucester County, because we're a suburb of Philadelphia. There's a lot of people that come this way that don't understand it. It's very different. It's like its own little country with the way the septic systems work and the municipalities work and everything else. So when it comes to anything that has to do with houses, land, we are a one-stop shop and we've got you. And so, there are people that come to me a little outside my area. If it's a little outside, I'm good. If it's too far outside, I have partners, that will help us if you're too far north for me. But no, I mean, when it comes to buying or selling land or property here in this area, we're it. And we'll find your solution. We'll find your buyer. We'll find your seller, and make sure that you're getting your needs met.
NancyKowalik.com. What's that number again?
856-478-6562.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for watching the Cash for Your Home podcast. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.